Well, that's certainly a way to start a review. Well, anyways, on that bombshell, hello again, it's me, that guy with the YouTube channel. Today we're doing a special review, because today we're reviewing the S.H.Monsterarts Kou, the S.H.Monsterarts Kou, no, that's still not right. S.H.M.A.K.K. We can't. Oh no, no. So yeah, this is the Monsterarts Kou clock, Godzilla 1989, or as this suit is also referred to as Biogoji. Starting out with the box, while it is simple, it is actually rather nice. As you can see, there's a nice foil finish over everything with some very sexy lit pictures of the figure. There's the whole light, sound, music thing, Kou clock with a K, Bandai Tamashii Nations, all that stuff, shiny foily top, upside down back. See, it's just all the stuff with the figure there. Nothing interesting on the bottom. An interesting looking picture of the figure on the side, just from head on. And on the other side, light, sound, music, or as the guy in the video goes, right, sound, So starting with detail, as you can see, it's your standard Monsterarts detail, although seeing as this is an 8-inch figure, there's much more room for better detail. So for example, the bottoms of his feet, soles, actually have more of a texture to them, as well as the actual part that usually is detailed on most 6-inch Monsterarts Godzillas actually having some sculpting on it. Toenails are nicely painted, although you can kind of see right there's a little nick on mine right there in the paint. It was like that out of the box, and I have seen worse examples of out-of-the-box toes. So do be wary of that. I've seen some where the plastic is actually gouged, so it's a pretty big quality control issue there, but I think you can tell just going into this review I'm going to be a little biased with this thing. As you can see, it's a very nice standard Godzilla skin texture all over, but a lot nicer than the standard Monsterarts figure sculpts because it's bigger and there's more room for detail. There are some slight highlights over his standard charcoal gray skin in a kind of brownish, blackish color. I can't really describe it too well, but it is there. His fingernails, painted in the same color as his toenails, look nice, although mine are a little dark on this one hand for some reason. Paint's a little messed up. But it's still nice. Towards the back of his neck, the scales do get a little softer in the sculpt, but you're not always going to notice that, although it is a little noticeable. It might just be because of the lighting and everything, is that this part here is a different color of plastic from the head, but again, it's nothing super noticeable. The spines, the main 3 rows on his back are in translucent plastic, obviously, for the light feature, and the main 3 rows on his tail aren't. However, they still look very nice. The blend is, I mean, it's not a seamless transition from the translucent to the solid, but it still looks good. Going all the way to the tip of his tail, you can see a little missing paint there as well, but at least it's in an unnoticeable place. See, the tip is nicely detailed, and of course the head sculpt. Oh boy, I believe this was sculpted by Yuji Sakai, and he did a really fantastic job on this. Again, that's me being biased, but I mean, come on, you compare this thing to, a picture of me, you can see why I called my YouTube channel Biogoji. I mean, the resemblance between me and this is uncanny, really. I mean, yeah. But you can see, the head sculpt, in all seriousness, is very nice. It just has that intelligent, yet animalistic look the Biogoji suit had. The teeth are very nice, the snarl is good. The only real complaint I have about the head sculpt, which is the same on all of them, is the inside of his mouth, the back of his tongue, and you kind of see the joints holding his mouth in are translucent, but again, it's for the light feature. So overall, detail on this figure is fantastic, and I mean, just to compare again, me to this, you can see again why I am called Biogoji and Biogoji 89. I mean, it's an uncanny resemblance. So moving to articulation, starting with the head, which is by far the most limited thing on the figure, for a perfectly fine reason, of course, that being the electronics running from the body into the head. This thing needs to be limited. Now, it's more or less limited in that you don't want to move it. I mean, it can move, as any ball joint would. It is ball jointed, although it is really not recommended that you move this thing around like any other Monster Arts figure. It can rotate about that far to either side, look up about that far, down about that far. Even then, looking up as far as I made it, I think that's even kind of stretching it. It's also a very stiff ball joint. It's stiff for a reason, because you don't want to get messy with it and then break the wires and have a ruined $180 Godzilla figure. You wouldn't want that, would you? No. The jaw is hinged, which is actually a hinge, unlike every other Monster Arts, where they seem to want to do them in ball joints, which annoys the crap out of me, because you have to fiddle with it to get it straight. Even then, some figures you can't even close the jaw properly, like on my Godzilla 95, which I know is an issue that plagues all of those figures, or a good chunk of them. Anyways, with this figure, the jaw opens perfectly fine, closes perfectly straight. I don't know if there's any QC issues with jaws not closing straight. I haven't heard of any of those. Shoulders can move, actually rotate, unlike the 95 Rebirth version figure, where his arms would move out if you moved them upward like that. But again, these are stiff, and considering they're very close to the electronics, they're probably stiff for a reason, so don't horse around with them. Biceps are ball jointed, just like the Godzilla 95 Rebirth. You can move out and in and out like any other bicep joint. Double hinged elbows, which that just popped off there, so hopefully get that back on there. Yeah, see, went back on just as fine. They are both ball joints, because this arm has actually popped off at the elbow before, as you just saw there, and another time there. They're ball joints. Wrists are ball joints, which actually get a really nice range of motion. Yeah, see, it's a very nice range of motion. The torso doesn't have a joint, although when I get to the electronics, you'll see something kind of interesting. Anyways, the legs move out about that far, forward about that much. Simple. Double hinge knees, ball joint feet, which look a little weird, but again, nothing really that bad. Tail is articulated all the way to here, so As you can imagine, it's a very well articulated tail. So that's it for articulation. Moving on to Godzilla's kyoku clock feature. To get this puppy to work here, you just gotta snap the poor bastard's waist in half, and then you just simply unscrew this hatch here. You put in 3 LR44 or 357 volt watch batteries. Once you get those in, you just flick the switch here, and Godzilla will let you know when he's on. Then you just simply take this, click it in there, and there you go. I also forgot to point out before clicking this part in, rather stupidly, that peg is hinged for some reason, even though the front part of his body doesn't have the clearance to get down, and even if it did, the light fixture that's going down his back, which is attached to this and protrudes, would probably snap before you got the peg to move. So even though that part is articulated, don't try and articulate it when it's on the figure. It should seem fairly obvious from the fact that he doesn't move at the waist. Anyways, for sounds, he has a variety of which, first being roars. Next, he has music, which is simply activated by holding this button down on the back, which is the same button for every single sound on the whole figure. So you hold it down, and he will play one of 2 tracks. He'll either play, I believe it's just the Godzilla theme, but it is the version from Godzilla vs. Biogoji, and Godzilla and the Destruction of Hokkaido, as I believe the track is called. And of course, if you just press the button, he will play any of his sounds all the time, or during this time. As you can see, he is playing stomping sounds, which this is something he can only do when he's playing music. He will stomp 4 times and then roar. He can also, if we're lucky, do an atomic breath. There we go, as you can see, his spines are lighting up. And then his mouth lights up. It looks blue on camera, although it's not as deep of a blue as that. He can only do the stomps during the music, and he will only do 1 type of atomic breath, because he has... I've heard that he has 3, although I haven't been able to tell the difference between 2 of them. He has one where it just flashes, breath comes out like you saw. Another where I believe it flashes a little longer on his spines, breath lasts a little longer. And then a third one, which I really like, where his whole spines flash and his breath comes out and both are lit at the same time. This is what all the sounds that weren't able to play look like in action. So now going on to sizing, of course, because we are pulled out so far, we obviously are going to pull in the figure everybody is going to want to see this figure sized up with, the S.H.Monsterarts Little Godzilla. Okay, here he is with Monsterarts Biogoji. It's not very accurate sizing. Next here's Biogoji alongside this Toho Machine Chronicles Super X2, which I would say is actually a decent sizing. I think Super X2 is just a little smaller and should maybe be about that big compared to Godzilla, but this is certainly a lot better than the Monsterarts Super X2 from the first pack of vehicles and shit. So if you have this Super X2, or you can get it, because I know it's fairly obscure, it would make a great companion piece to this figure, not only, but also 6-inch figures. And Here he is alongside an 8-inch Bandai vinyl, a more recent one, this being Hero 2003, which, as you can see, Biogoji is a lot shorter, mainly because this is an 8-inch figure, but this is the more older style of 8-inch figure, where it's more or less 8 inches, meanwhile newer 8-inch figures tended to be around 9 inches, so this isn't very accurate. Here is Biogoji alongside some older 8-inch figures with the Bandai 1995 Gamera and Super Gauss figures. As you can see, even though Gamera is a lot shorter, if you take into account that Gamera is looking down a little bit and his legs are he's in a walking pose basically. If he was standing up straight, they would be around the same height, so this would be actually fairly accurate sizing, because they are both 80 meters, and Gauss, Super Gauss, I believe she is hunching over quite a bit, take that into account, it would be accurate as well. So these do look good, although the detail on this figure far surpasses these two. Here he is alongside the S.H.Monsterarts Kou, and while Biogoji is probably taller than he should be, in fact way taller than he should be, it still looks decent, even though I really wouldn't display these two figures together. It's still an option if you want something closer to the suit for the movie. Just get the 1991 Godzilla figure Bandai actually made. Here he is with some NECA Pacific Rim figures, which, as you can see, the sizing is rather nice. Gypsy Danger, I mean, well, it's not accurate, but it looks nice, because then you don't have Gypsy Danger like that towering Godzilla. And with Hardship, he still looks bigger than Godzilla, but it looks more evenly matched, unlike, say, if you had the 95 Rebirth version with these two figures. So if you want a Godzilla that looks nice next to Pacific Rim figures, not sizes accurately with them, this is probably one of your few options, at least if you want an articulated figure. Here he is with some 8-inch vinyl figures, from the Heisei series of course. Here he is with as many Godzillas I could fit onto set apparently, and the overly relentless, super common figure everybody has. Get the fever! And finally, rounding out sizings, here's Biogoji alongside everybody's favorite god, lord, savior, king, pharaoh, and everything else in between and after that can be significant to a person in their life. Ooh. So overall, if you cannot tell by this point, I am absolutely in love with this figure. I love everything about it. The articulation, yeah, it's pretty lackluster, but I don't need Biogoji doing aerial flips and weird shit people do with their Monster Arts figures I see a lot. I just need to pose like Godzilla. Godzilla doesn't do a whole lot of super dynamic poses, at least in the Heisei series. So I'm okay with that. The lights, they could be brighter, and I will admit, when people say they're disappointed, I do see why they are disappointed with the lights, because they're not as bright, and I would have loved it if they were brighter, but it doesn't bother me. And that might be me being biased, because it should be fairly obvious I love the Biogoji suit, but I just love the figure in general. Would I say it's the definitive Monster Arts Godzilla? I said it would be a few months back. To me, yes, but to the average figure collector, probably not. And getting him is very easy, because he was just released this month. You should have no trouble trying to get him for around $170, $180, but don't pay over $180. If you can get him for $170, you're doing fine. $180 is pushing it a little, even though that's what I got mine for, but I was okay with that because I fucking love the Biogoji suit. And yeah, if you can find it for cheaper, go for it. Do not pay $200 for it, because even I will admit this is not worth that. So yeah, and for a rating, it's an easy 10 out of 10. There's nothing more to it. So that's it for this special review. And as I always say, Shamama Jamo, it means I accidentally ate the whole thing. Look at those beautiful brown eyes. What a beautiful Duang Chew.